Turning now to the Ferguson fire burning in Mariposa County. Major closures and mandatory evacuations are in effect to help with the massive firefight and to keep nearby residents safe.
The blaze has now scorched more than 38,000 acres and continues to threaten nearly 3,500 structures.
That fire is now 25% contained as more than 3,000 firefighters battle the tough terrain and a heat wave as they try to slow the rate of the fire's forward progress. We're bringing you live team coverage on the Ferguson Fire fight and how the heat is impacting that battle. Meteorologist Kevin Musso in our Storm Warn 30 Center tracking the high temperatures. But first, let's check in with Ruben Contreras, who's live in Ahwahnee with the challenges the weather is posing for fire crews. Ruben?
That's right, Margot. It's very hot out here. Temperatures are in the 90s and we have very low humidity levels. And take a look behind me. There's this thick inversion layer that firefighters have to deal with here. And this is the base camp where all firefighters check in with their equipment and come in to rest in between 24-hour shifts. The haze lingering over the hills trapped by that inversion layer is forcing firefighters to fight the flames on the ground and not in the air. In addition to fighting the flames from the Ferguson fire, firefighters were forced to deal with temperatures in the mid-90s, low humidity levels, and a strong inversion layer trapping the smoke at lower elevations.
And so we hope that the inversion layer goes away, and but once it does, you're going to see a lot more smoke. So there's a good and bad to everything.
Despite those challenges, Fire Captain Joe Amador says winds from the north help firefighters overnight. The change in direction is keeping the fire from moving closer to Yosemite National Park, but it moved closer to communities to the south that include Lush Meadows and Ponderosa Basin.
Our number one goal here is to protect property and lives. We know that going to it. We train heavily for the worst possible conditions, and you know we got them.
As of Wednesday, the fire has not burned any homes, but new evacuation orders were in place for Lush Meadows and Ponderosa Basin north of Triangle Road. Because of the new evacuation orders, the Red Cross set up a second evacuation center at Mountain Christian Center in Oakhurst. They want to make sure evacuees are accounted for.
They have paperwork to fill in. We want to make sure who we're checking in. We get all their contact information, family members, and that sort of thing, and that aids us in serving them properly.
The Red Cross in Oakhurst is ready to provide shelter and food for nearly 75 people forced to leave their homes, in addition to those forced to leave Yosemite National Park due to the park's closure.
We have tourists that show up that got booted out of the park, and they need to shelter until they can continue on their trip, so we deal with that as well.
And now coming up tonight live at 6, we'll talk to one of those evacuees who checked into the Red Cross Center who's all too familiar with being evacuated from wildfires. First, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Musso for the latest on the valley's air quality and a heat advisory that's been extended not just for the valley but for the foothills as well. Kevin.